Welcome back to Control Alt Lead, the podcast from computing where we talk to IT leaders about what's moving in the market. This week, for the very first time, I'm sitting down face to face with my guest, Javed Iqbal, Director of Digital and Information at one of the world's largest and oldest tobacco companies, British American Tobacco. If you're watching the video version of this podcast on computing.co.uk, you'll be able to see the interview in just a moment. Javed and I talked about how BAT is using tech to move towards a smokeless product lineup and how they're embracing open data and AI to do that, including early experiments with AI agents. It is a great interview, and as I say, for the very first time, face to face, so please enjoy. So Javed, thank you for joining me today. British American Tobacco is one of the world's largest tobacco companies,
Yes.
but you're transitioning towards smokeless.
Yes.
So can you tell me what that looks like and where tech comes into that?
I think one, it looks like something which is very close to my heart personally as an employee and a lot of 50,000 plus of us around the world. Because if you see, we have a legacy of 100 plus years and we have been doing a standard product business for more than 100 years. This is the first time we have the science and research behind us to offer our consumers something which is much less riskier versus a standard combustible product. And this is the reason we have embarked on this journey. We have already made some good progress in the last 7-10 years. For example, in Europe now, closer to 30% of our revenue is coming from smokeless products. And way we see that digital can play a much bigger role in this one is that now, as we all know, we are much more connected as individuals, as consumers. So we want to connect with our consumers to explain to them the profile of risk which will reduce for them once they move from smoke product to the smokeless products. And this is where also, but that's only one part of the equation. Other one is we all hear in a lot of debate about the challenges of vapes, how you stop access to youth, how do you regulate. So there also we see technology playing a pivotal role in that area. For example, in UK, we want it to be regulated. We actually said that if you can license and control liquor sale and consumption, why don't we do the same for nicotine? And luckily now I think we are moving in that direction. But where the tech comes in, we are already using the technology in Siberia and some other European markets where we scan the face and help the retailer to see that if the person and the consumer is adult or not. So you see the scan, you get the scan deleted because you don't want to keep the data, and then you get the results. So in case the tech flags red, then they should ask for ID. Similarly, for vaping products, we have now technology where you will not be able to use the product until you prove to the device you are an adult. So those type of tech solutions can also help the governments around the world to regulate this, because we want regulations, because we genuinely believe that regulations can help this transformation faster.
So this sort of tech-enabled age verification, it's a really interesting concept.
Yes.
Is that now being rolled out at scale across other markets, or is that still in a proof of concept
So
phase?
we are actually using it in 2 markets. We'll roll it out in more markets in this year. So what we do with every tech solutions, including this age verification, is we do a proof of concept, create a commercial use case, and then rapidly expand it on the scale. So we have proved the concept, and now we are in the role of scaling it out, first in Europe and then in other markets.
Great, because I know that there is a lot of concern about the use of smokeless products amongst younger people and how
Yes.
they're marketed to younger people. So yeah, fantastic to hear.
This is where we want to work with the regulators, because we believe that ban doesn't work, prohibition didn't work in the past, but a good regulation with effective enforcement can actually work.
Wonderful. You've got, when I arrived here today, that there's a big sort of digital screen downstairs showing lots of interesting data about smokeless products.
Yes.
I'd love to talk to you about that, where you get the data from and how heavily you use data in your move
Yes.
to becoming a smokeless company.
So I think before we go into that, what you saw is actually we've recently launched a website, an app, a portal called Omni. And it is not only for us as employees, it's for society at large, for our consumers, people who are concerned about health, for health advocates, because what we want is a conversation about nicotine with facts and figures. So what Omni does is brings not BAT science, but global research science in one platform, which help us to distinguish the risk profile of a traditional cigarette versus the new products which we are. And this data is now available in one place. So it's not, so you don't need to go to BAT website, you can go to NHS website to see what is the difference between risk of vaping versus smoking. You can go to FDA website, but what we have done is we have brought all those information together and also some cases where we have been successful. So you see a good example where in New Zealand, effectively curtailing smoking rates, very effectively transitioning. And you see a failed case of Australia where actually illicit cigarettes are spanning, 50% of the market is illegal, vaping is banned, but vape stores are there everywhere. So you also see a failed example and a successful example, and that's what we are trying to do together. What we are doing with this data is twofold. One is we are feeding this information to our product developers, for our scientists, to make sure they create more better and less riskier product for our consumers, and also for our marketing team to get a better understanding on what our consumer needs and how they are changing once they transition from smoke to smokeless world.
Wonderful. So the data in Omni, is that free and available for everybody to use?
Yes, data in Omni is available for any individual around the globe to go and check and read and download.
Great. Well, I applaud that.
As I said, that we want the debate, but we want to have a debate and conversation with facts and figures.
Great. Yes, absolutely. The big topic that everyone's talking about is, of course, artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And I'd be really interested to now talk about how you at BAT are using AI in 2025.
So our journey in AI started actually a bit earlier in end of 2023, when the whole things was exciting and when generative AI came in and everybody got very excited. But what we did, what some of my friends say is a boring part, but what I say is the right part first. So we focused the work creating the legal framework on ethical AI for BAT. So we worked with our cybersecurity team, our legal team, our compliance team to make sure we create the right framework for this new technology, that before it lands in the business, we are protecting our consumers, ourselves, and regulation. And we make sure to look into the guidelines issued by the UK government, by the OECD, and also US and other regulators. Given our global business, we have to keep that account. So yes, first 5-6 months was not about exciting, creating new solutions. It was more about creating the right regulations and guidelines. But after that, we embarked on the journey. We started with some initial test cases for Copilot. We also started working on some AI-enabled agents in some of the areas. And what we are going to do in 2025 is we are scaling up our Copilot usage to a few thousand employees. We are also rolling out some of our solutions which we have done for our marketing insights and research team, for our R&D team in terms of patent. We will scale those solutions up and across. So we are working on some use cases which once tested can scaled out globally.
Wonderful. You mentioned AI agents there, and I'd
Yes.
love to dig into that because this is
Yes.
perhaps the next level of artificial intelligence. We've
Yes.
gone past the hype of just generative AI, and now we're into these
Yes.
agents that can really help people in productive ways.
Yes.
So could you tell me about how BAT sees AI agents being used operationally?
So I think we are working on a couple of areas. For example, I'll give you an example of our marketing insights and foresight team. So we have marketing research data which is unsurmountable in terms of size scale because it's a global consumer data. And it was so difficult for teams at times to bring and use all data in one go. But by enabling AI developed agents, which we have created with the help of our tech partners and our subject matter experts, we are able to look at that information in a much more comprehensive way and get far more greater insights than we were able to use before. Similarly, if you look at the new world we are in, we are in a world of consumer electronics as well, because our vaping device is electronic, our heating devices and electronics. So then the patent world becomes very difficult. It's not easy. There are a lot of innovations happening around the world. There are a lot of patents getting registered. So how to navigate that space? There also, we worked with our partner Microsoft, and they gave us some big team of AI black belt engineers from Microsoft, some key talent from my team, and some members from R&D and legal team to develop a first 1.0 agent, which we call 1.0 because it's still early days, to help the teams to navigate the patent world in much more faster and accurate way than it was before. And one other thing which is also working, which is very close to my heart, given our ESG agenda, is that we are also working in our AI lab, which we can talk about a bit more, which we just inaugurated in Dubai, is to look at the solutions, how we can develop a solution to tackle the challenges of, for example, child labor in farms. Because that is something which becomes a big challenge for a global company, and we use agriculture product or tobacco. So now we are looking at how do you use technology to scan the global maps, look at those areas, hotspots, so we can help and manage that challenge. So there are different areas, we are working on them. Some are in slightly advanced stage, some are in the proof of concept stage.
So before we move on to the AI lab, I'd love to know why you started using AI in the patent space. What was it about that area that made it really ripe for the use of AI?
I think, if, as I said, that patent is a very complex space, and this, in the game of electronics, in the field of electronics, which we are entering as new entrant, the biggest battle is on patents. So if you're trying to innovate, you have to see that. And we are in that stage, which, if I may say, the electronics industry was in bit earlier. So we have seen patent wars between Apples and Samsungs of this world, Googles and Microsofts of this world. We are going through that space now. But what we were able to do now is using that technology of AI and capacity and capability to scan the environment and make sure that if you are going to innovate something, is it already available? If it's available, is it viable? Is it breaching some right of competition if they've already innovated in that space? So it helps you to focus and direct your energies for R&D in the right space, and also to scan the market if you're looking for technologies that they are already available.
Okay.
But I'll give you an example. Sorry, it's like, it was so difficult to build even 1.0 because even large LLM have their own capacity constraints. And here we are talking about millions of documents, billions of pages around the world with different regulators and different jurisdictions. So hence, this is where we needed help to navigate that. And you could see that if that amount of data is there, the use case of AI becomes much stronger.
Absolutely. I wonder, what would your advice be to other leaders in your position when they're choosing the first application for their own AI uses?
I think the mantra we have been following for the last few years in BAT is transformation has to be business led but technology enabled. So my request to all the leaders or peers around the world is that focus on what your business is trying to achieve, and then give them digital solution to enable and deliver those visions or those missions. And for us, the deliverable business was, how do you transform the business? So we gave them technological solutions. How do you communicate with, so that's where we start with connected devices. So we have to make sure that what our business objectives are and how we can enable them with digital solutions. The thing which we have to not get excited at times is, for us, because we are not a tech company, people who work in the consumer goods, business comes first and technology is enabling it. But if you put a technology and try to fit business into it, that's where the friction and the challenges start, especially in the large commercial organizations.
Absolutely. Okay, I think we're running a little bit short on time here, Javed. So the last question I want to ask you is to expand on this AI lab that you were talking about earlier. What does that look like?
So I think if I take a context why we decided to go in that space, we have invested a lot to make BAT ready for the future technological solutions to be used, or if I may use the word exploited. We are far ahead of cloud adoption versus most companies in the world, and I'm not saying CPG. Most peer groups are in the range of 30 to 40%, 50% cloud adoption. We closed last year at 72% cloud adoption for BAT. We are in a state of moving of our SAP estate in SAP Rise. So by end of this year, we are targeting at 90% cloud adoption, which is far ahead, and I'm very proud of the work the team has done. But what it does is, it makes my data cyber secure. It makes me much more climate friendly, because either it's carbon neutral, in some cases it's carbon positive. And more importantly, it enables my information to be ready to be used by the latest tools available, whether it's data analytics or AI. And also one thing which we other did is that we upgraded the whole enterprise data platform by adopting Microsoft Fabric around the world. So once we have done those two things, then we thought we were ready, and we wanted to be part of the AI thing. But as I said, we want to go cautiously and commercially consciously. So there was a lot of work happening in the IFC. We already have our commercial presence, and they were expanding into Innovation AI Hub, which is quite exciting facility. I was there last week with our CEO, and we decided to join that place where they are bringing not only the big tech, but the young AI entrepreneurs who want to change the world using this technology along with the business. So now we have just inaugurated our own lab, which will be running in few weeks' time, where we can bring our key talent with the key business challenges and work in that very innovative and AI-enabled environment to develop solutions which we can be a test case, and then bring them back into BAT world and scale them at speed.
Wonderful. Well, I wish you all the best with it.
And we have also been, given the work we did on ethical AI, we have also been a member of the AI Regulation Forum in UAE. There are other few bodies which have taken our work as a benchmark, and we are helping the world, especially corporate side, to work on the ethical AI guidelines.
Ethical AI is a huge topic, so perhaps that's one that we dig into for the next podcast.
I'm happy to do that anytime.
Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening. Next time, I'll be talking to Joanna Drake, CIO at THG, about how she transformed the company's e-commerce platform, taking it from a legacy tech environment to something robust, scalable, and high-performing. As always, head over to computing.co.uk for more IT interviews, research, and analysis. See you soon.